Right, so in this video, we're going to look at the politics of Europe. And remember, part of Europe had industrialized, right? What you see on the screen there in the circle, that had industrialized Britain, France, Belgium, the Netherlands. Germany. So in many of these countries, not all of them, but in many of these countries where you have had industrialization, you have a large middle class, you also have democracy. Once you get out of that economic zone, you see less and less democracy. So if you think of the circle, in Western Europe, being in Western Europe, the further east you go, the less democracy that you see. So we'll start with Britain, which had the most stable democracy of the leading countries in Europe. And two political parties had alternated power back and forth, which is a sign of a healthy democracy. If one party controls the government for like 40 years, there's probably something fishy going on with that democracy. But the two parties that had bounced back and forth in power were the liberals and the conservatives. And what happened is as they give the right to vote to more and more people, trying to make sure those new people vote for them, right? That means those people with that newfound power get a lot of benefits, i.e., the working class. But eventually, a third party does pop up called the Labor Party, and you can probably guess who they went after: laborers. Because stop and think about it. Who's there more of? The laborers are the factory owners, the aristocracy. No, there's far more laborers. So if you could tap into them, so you've got these three parties going after the vote. Eventually, you have a system in which you have universal male suffrage in Britain, and after World War One, women will be able to vote as well. And these three parties kind of alternate power, and you have peaceful transitions of power. If the liberals lose elections to parliament, and then the next prime minister is going to be conservative, the liberals don't have like a violent coup or anything like that. So peaceful transition of power. So Great Britain is calm and stable. Now France, last time we left France, they got rid of Emperor Napoleon III because he was a disaster, and they created the Third Republic, capital T. That's the name of it, the Third Republic. And in this new republic, you have a two-house legislature, like we do, the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies. Now, the Chamber of Deputies is elected by universal male suffrage, right? So the Chamber of Deputies are popularly elected by the people, universal male suffrage. I also have a prime minister, right? And the prime minister answers directly to the Chamber of Deputies. This is called ministerial responsibility. When the prime minister or president answers directly to the elected body, that's called ministerial responsibility. And that's a big deal, because stop and think about it. The prime minister answers to the Chamber of Deputies. The Chamber of Deputies answers to the people, because it's the people that votes for the chamber. So the prime minister answers to the chamber. The chamber answers to the people. So in a roundabout way, who does the prime minister answer to? He answers to the people. What do we call a government that has to answer to its people? A democracy, right? So France has a lot of what you need to have a very successful democracy. But one of the problems France had at the time was too many political parties, around a dozen or so. So no one political party could get a true majority in the Chamber of Deputies. So what would have to happen is you'd have to have what's called a coalition government. Two or three parties would have to agree to work together and tag team together. And it's just really hard to get things done. Think about our system. We only have really two political parties. I mean, we have the Green Party, but they often don't win. We have two, Democrats and Republicans. And think about how little gets done because the two disagree. Now imagine 12 parties trying to get things done. So it's a stable democracy, but it's not the most efficient democracy ever. And then you have the brand new baby country of Italy. And Italy has trouble because they're just newly united. For centuries, where you were from, the exact region you were from, mattered more than being necessarily Italian, right? And Sicilians, for instance, look at themselves very differently than Tuscans, and people in Tuscany view themselves very differently than the Romans. And the Romans view themselves very differently than the Piedmontese and so on and so forth. And what happens in this brand new country of Italy, there's kind of a division between northern Italy and southern Italy, which should sound very familiar to you as Americans. Northern Italy had industrialized. Southern Italy was still largely agricultural. Northern Italy was more prosperous than the South. The South did not trust the North, and the North often looked down upon the South as being less civilized and less educated. And so there's this tension between North and South. Remember, it's a brand new country. They don't necessarily have that sense of national pride quite yet. Now they do have universal male suffrage, which that's good. Unfortunately, their government became famous for its corruption. Even today, if you fast forward to today, the Italian government is kind of famous or infamous for the level of corruption that it has within its government. So this brand new baby country of Italy, its democracy is having problems, which will be important later because it's going to help explain why Italy, at least for a little while, abandons democracy and picks up something called fascism and allows itself to be ruled by a dictator named Mussolini. So, what you see in Western Europe, they are trying democracy with various levels of success. The British democracy is working really well. It's nice and stable with two, eventually three parties alternating power. The French system, they have a democracy. It works fairly well, although it's not terribly efficient because of so many political parties. Then the brand new democracy of Italy is really struggling to kind of figure itself out and how to work properly, but they are giving democracy a go. You leave Western Europe, the further east into Europe you go, the less democracy you are going to see.